the show with Helen and James. I'm delighted to say we're joined by the actor Bradley Riches, who stars as 16-year-old James McEwen in the hit Netflix show Heartstopper. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
It's such a smash hit show as well, and an amazing, amazing show. So, are you well, first of all? All good?
Yes, I'm doing good. Keeping busy, but
you
doing
really
well.
So I think we should have a look at a little bit. Let's see one of the trailers of Heartstopper, so you just get yourself in the mood here. It was a sensation when it arrived on screen for the first time. Let's have a look. So this is basically adolescent love, isn't it? That's what it's about, right? And we can have a clip of it now.
So I'm guessing you don't feel the same about me then? I don't know how I'm supposed to feel when I have a crush on someone. You know, I read all these books where people fall in love, and I still have absolutely no idea. I thought that I might feel that way about you, but then we kissed, and I just knew that I didn't.
Oh!
I'm wearing the same mustard.
So what's the show all about? For those who haven't seen it, sell it to us.
So Heartstopper is based on a graphic novel by Alice Oseman, and it's basically like queer coming of age story. So it shows sexualities and genders and different identities, and it's just like people growing up and working out who they are and who they love. And
you're in your early 20s, but you are playing, I think, a 16-year-old there.
Yeah, 16.
Which must be a bit
15 to 16.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it must be strange because that's a very different bracket of age, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of weird because the character I'm playing is someone that I've always wished I was at school, like an openly gay guy who is just confident, and I wish that was me. So it was quite cathartic to go back in time and play me.
so at school, because of what the pressures of other pupils, you had to pretend to be somebody you weren't.
Yeah, 100%. Like I didn't think I was truly myself until probably 19, 20. I don't think.
Okay.
So only recently I've kind of worked out who I was and been very comfortable with who I was.
Well, that's great. And the same with other people at school. You would say there were other young gay men at your school who were also thinking we can't say who we are.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not too sure. I mean, I had some horrible experiences with some guys at school, but I think, yeah, I hope that everyone's, find out who they really are and being confident with who they are as well.
You also appeared in the most recent series of Celebrity Big Brother. Tell us about that.
Yes, well, what a weird experience. I was living with Sharon Osbourne, Louis Walsh, and then I made some of the best friends while I was on that show as well. It was kind of like I've always said it's like a retreat. You put your phone down and you just, have to speak with people. There I am, lifting up Sharon.
That's what I want to see.
We were doing a little dance partner workshop. That was like Big Brother dance off, and I was paired with Sharon, and we won actually. So
what is Sharon like? She's lived a life. I was going to say she's been through a lot, but
she was just a woman full of stories, full of love, and yeah, she was just an absolute joy to live with. And she was washing up. Louis would not lift a finger, but Sharon was like helping out, but we'd make sure she didn't do too much. Yeah, she was just so lovely to live with.
You're still in touch?
Yeah, we email each other. She's not a texter, she's more of an emailer, but yeah, we're still in touch.
So I must ask you about autism. You've been very open about being on the autistic spectrum, and you've got you're involved with a charity called Autistica. Is that right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So I was diagnosed when I was 9 years old. I basically just didn't use any words as communication my whole childhood. So obviously my grandparents and my parents were like, oh, let's go and see what this is about type thing. And then I got my diagnosis, and then obviously I lacked a lot of confidence having not spoken or making friends. So then I went to drama classes every Wednesday. And then as my confidence grew, I then started obviously auditioning for characters using voice. So it was kind of like an escapism to pretend to be someone else, to speak. And I would always speak in an American accent or something stupid like that.
Oh, right.
But, and then as my confidence grew, and I was like, oh, I can actually use these characters to form my everyday life, to use and speak and be confident with my voice. And that's when I grew the love for acting, and then I just have kept on going. And that's why I wanted to give back to an autistic charity.
Because I was talking to my friend Helen here about a book that Helen has written, and I remember you said, it's difficult because, I'll let you say this in your words, but you referred to being neurodivergent, and to be on one project all the time for a while was a challenge. Fair?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. You know, if you're on the spectrum, if you're neurodiverse, it's like, oh, there's another idea. Oh, there's another idea, and there's another idea. And if you haven't got a deadline, it just runs and runs and runs.
Yeah.
And then when something gets boring, it quite often
And are
doesn't
you
get finished.
self-diagnosed, or have you been to see someone? Or
Well, when I say self-diagnosed, a lot of people go, oh, everyone's self-diagnosing now. But actually, I would just say to everybody that's ever met me, and I used to work in children's services, I have people who trained my staff to work with children with ADHD, just all turned around. And when I said, I think I'm ADHD, I've just done this thing online that says I've got ADHD. And they went, well, yeah. Like, well, why didn't you tell me? Why wasn't I looking at this earlier?
And what's the main symptom? Is it where one person talks and you just don't listen and talk over them, or what?
I think there's a
That's quite
difficulty
handy for
with
this
saying-
show, by the way.
You're in your element.
Yeah, I think
I feel as if I'm having a diagnosis.
Yeah, you might well be in a
there's a
second.
difficulty with saying that it's just one thing. There is a huge. I mean, the biggest things are a lack of focus. What were you saying? That kind of thing, and always having lots and lots of ideas. But there are lots and lots of things that affect people in different ways. But for me, it's that lack of focus and wanting to move on and forgetting things and
Interesting.
those kinds of things. And also, not to say reading people as well. I'm very poor at reading.
But with autism, Bradley, as I understand, it's about overwhelm.
Yeah.
Is it? And
Yeah.
it's almost you can't filter.
Yeah,
Doesn't acting make that harder?
Yeah, I think to some element, I think every production team I've worked with, I think like obviously going through drama school, and that was like quite an overwhelming obviously experience, seeing the same people every day, doing 8 till 6 every day. But obviously through drama school, you kind of get told, oh, this industry is not really fit for neurodiverse people. Like you can't expect productions to cater for your individual needs. And then when I obviously got Heartstopper, the first email I ever received from Netflix was, have you got any individual needs? So I think having those stepping stones is just like, you know what, the industry is moving. There's a long way to go, but I think we're moving slowly. And also, I think people also forget self-diagnoses are valid completely, because the waiting list is like, this is a weird fact that I know, but it's the size of Bolton, which is the waiting list for a diagnosis of any neurodivergency. So
Okay.
I think people always forget and they get ashamed about self-diagnosing, but I think you know when you know, and I think it's completely valid.
Quick question. If you're playing a neurodivergent part, and I'm thinking here classically Sheldon in Big Bang Theory,
Yeah.
does the actor, in this case Jim Parsons, who I think is neurodivergent, should they be neurodivergent? So the autistic person plays the autistic part?
Yeah, I love this conversation. I think basically I think obviously everyone will say whoever's right for the character, which is completely valid. I completely understand that from that side of things. But I think it's when obviously it's an autistic story, so autistic actors would love to tell the autistic story, but a lot of the time autistic actors aren't being seen for these autistic roles because we're difficult to work with, or there's too many things to be in place. They're too scared to hire us because they don't know how we'd work in different environments. So I think that's where I draw the line. It's like, well, if you give autistic actors the chance to actually audition for these autistic roles,
fair point.
Then, I mean, I hate to break the news, but we would play it better. We've lived the life for.
Because it seems to be progressing in an unbelievable way. So what about playing a gay part? Should you be gay to do that?
I think the exact same. It's like
A gay person would do it better.
Well, it's whoever's right for the part at the end of the day. But I think giving queer actors the chance to be up for these queer roles is very crucial.
I'm looking at James thinking, I bet you disagree with that, but I can't read your expression. Because you'll say, well, in that case, if you're playing a murderer, you've got to have committed 4 murders.
Well, I think the important point is that where people have been marginalised and people have not been getting the parts, then you absolutely should be making sure that they do. But that actually means that in the case of whether it's the arts, then it means that you've actually got to involve people at a much earlier age. And we've had problems in the past because we've, had society that assume that there aren't gay people or there aren't, people with neurodivergence and various other things. So I think until or unless that balance and the pendulum has swung the other way. But I think what I'd like to get back to is that anybody acting, to my mind, having had a brother who was an actor, acting is playing something that you aren't. Yeah. And if you have the skill and you are able to portray that role, regardless of whether you're straight or gay and playing a gay part, in the same way that I would look at Jewish people, should they always play Jewish parts? Probably they're going to do it better.
What, Helen Mirren playing Golda Meir recently we had
and sometimes there's an argument to say no. But
I don't know. My Left Foot with Daniel Day-Lewis. There's so many examples of this. Anyway, listen, great to chat. Stay with us and we'll do some more papers here.
Yes.